Morning, morning. Let's start with the Christmas lights. They're not Christmas lights, they're the all year round lights. And I just love them. And I thought I'd share them with you on a really bleak Sunday morning. Look at the face. Pony Club disco last night. Bit deep voice. It was good. Oh, hang on, look. Na-na. It was really good, but I can't cope with anything after sort of 10 o'clock outside. I turn into a pumpkin. And the cold has resurfaced. So what is it with the cold? It comes and goes. So you think, yay, it's gone. And then it literally bashes you like a ton of bricks. And you're like, okay, not gone so much. Reflective post a bit this morning. I've just been reading some of the comments. I'd been talking yesterday about how friends at the dinner party had said the same as we were saying, which was we're just not putting the heating on. We're all in one room. We're lighting fires. And we're using the heated blankets and stuff. And somebody put, if you've got horses, I rather think you could afford to put the heating on. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because of the horses, we can't afford anything. Please don't conflate having any kind of animal with any kind of wealth. It's not, there is no correlation there. In fact, it's the other way. My other half always says the cheapest bit about horses is buying them. But it doesn't mean that you are rich beyond your wildest dreams if you have animals. It just means that you made a choice as to where any money that you might be fortunate enough to have goes. We made the choice that our money would go into a horse for my daughter to help her in many different ways. And it has, and it is, and I don't regret any of it, but we don't have any spare cash, simple as. On the waiting lists, it's really hit a nerve, that one. So I think they're cutting waiting lists. This is my gut feeling. I think where there was a waiting list for something as long as your arm, they've just cancelled the clinic. I think that because we've been at the receiving end of that. So I think we're not cutting waiting lists, we're manipulating figures. And I think that it's a real shambles when you do something like that and you don't expect people to have had their letter saying, I'm really sorry, your clinic has been cancelled or your appointment has been cancelled. We've rescheduled a new one for you in June 2027. I don't think that when people get that, they're going to turn around and go, oh yeah, we're streeting. Yeah, absolutely. Waiting lists have been cut. You know, we're all getting appointments when we want them. It's utter rubbish. I read a post that somebody had said about an elderly gentleman going into a doctor's surgery. Now, we're not allowed to phone up for our doctor's appointments anymore. We have to do it online. And even if you go in to the doctor's appointment, so if you can't do it online and you go into the doctor's appointment, you have to do it online at the doctor's. So an elderly gentleman went in to go and make an appointment and was told he couldn't. He had to do it online. He was like, but I can't. I don't have access to the internet. So they bought out an iPad for him to fill in. And they went through it with him, asking him a slew of questions before he could book a doctor's appointment. Now, on every level, that makes my blood boil. So he's gone in to the doctor's surgery. He's now having to sit in reception, answering questions that anyone can hear because he was having help from somebody asking the questions out. So he had to do that in public. He had to be subjected to a method of technology that he wasn't comfortable with to book himself a doctor's appointment. And I suspect he probably felt a whole range of emotions by having to do that. And we've got iPads for people to use in doctor's surgeries to book appointments when there's a receptionist. Now you tell me, somebody tell me where the logic in that is. I'd love to hear it. I'd absolutely love to hear it. I'd love to hear where the logic in that is and where the humility in that is. Because I don't see any. I don't see any logic and I don't see any humility. What I see is a system abusing the people that need to use the system. I see a government skewing numbers so that they can look good in opinion polls. And I see the British public yet again being let down by, I feel like I might be a bit grumpy today on my rant because I haven't had enough sleep and I feel rubbish. But it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's in every walk of life. And we talk about inflation coming down, but we don't recognise that food inflation is off the scale. And the working people's pockets, which is all of us, just simply don't stretch to being able to make that gap meet. So it's utterly miserable. Hence the lights, because they're not, are they? Vintage Aldi, I love them. Not all of them work, but you know, can't have everything, can you? And that's where we're at these days. And you know, there's nothing wrong with simple pleasures. There really is nothing wrong. In fact, there's everything good with simple pleasures, in my humble opinion, because that's what makes the world go round. But when it gets to the bit where in our everyday lives, you know, we're miserable because we can't heat our houses, we're miserable because we can't get doctor's appointments, we're miserable because we've got no money for any form of saving, we're miserable because we're literally watching the smart meter like it's an episode of EastEnders, and we're waiting for the doofers when we get to the bit where you see how much in debt you are to the energy companies. And, you know, having to look at some twinkly lights is the enjoyment in life. Don't get me wrong, it is lovely, but bloody hell, how did we get there? So, bit of a hopefully as the day goes on. We're out show jumping today. Yesterday we were out dressage. We went to Brackenhurst in Nottinghamshire. Really lovely event there. They were very welcoming, and good finishes for the little one. She came 3rd and 12th. So that was really good. Very happy with that. Off show jumping with the big one today in the rain. I mean, I haven't really warmed up and defrosted from yesterday. It's no wonder the cold has come back. The Lemsip is out in force. But yeah, let's see how that goes. I might be slightly more cheerful when we get back tonight, but you know, we're all allowed an off day, aren't we? I'll see you later.